What's up all you gamers? If you want to see what I think is a really nice skill build and one of the highest damage ones out there at the moment I believe for the mortar build, then stay tuned, that's coming up next.
Pew, 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 pew. Whee.
Welcome back all you guys and girls. So yeah, like I was saying, I was a bit hesitant on putting this one together, shall we say, because it's a little bit out there. Some of the stuff that I've found and some of the pieces I've put together, you'll kind of probably tilt your head to one side and say, what's he doing here? But it does work really well, I can promise you. So first off, like I said, it is a mortar build, skill build. So you chuck your mortar out, and then one thing that is really good with mortar builds is seekers. We're not using them. We're using the drone. So you send out your drone, and your drone attacks the dudes over there. You get your shots off, and then you let your mortar do the work. Now, if you have a little look there, you might notice that there's a couple of additional little bits of damage going on there. That's because we've put together a very mixed bag of gear, shall we say. But it does work really well, I promise you. Now, this is not optimized, so you will be able to get a lot more damage out of this. But at the moment, when I'm going into missions, the heroic missions, the mortar on its own is doing between 3.3, I believe, to about 5.2 million damage on the enemies. And this isn't optimized, and we've still got a few little tweaks here and there that we could do. But I'll go through that afterwards. Right, so what we've got to do is just quickly come over here and damage self. Now, because we're damaged, if you have a little look, the buff down the bottom there will give us an additional 15% damage on our skills per skill that's out. That's massive, absolutely massive. So you take some shots there, send out your drone and tap that. Now you could probably see that was hitting a lot harder. It doesn't quite one-shot them yet, but like I said, we've still got a bit to do anyway, and I'm pretty sure it will after we've got everything tweaked. And you've got your bleed damage and your vial mask damage. So like I said, this one's weird, but stick with me, it does work, I promise. So up here, what you need is the harmony. The harmony is amazing for this build. You will be needing to take shots on the enemy, but you'll be able to. You will be able to. Because one of the things I was trying with this build for a long time was to put in the chest piece. Because the only one that I could make actually do the damage that you wanted was something I didn't want to use. And that, I'm guessing you all know, is this one right here. If I can find it. Perfect glass cannon. All damage you deal is amplified by 30%. You take 60% damage extra. Ouch. You get shot in the eye, you fall over. You get shot in the toe, you fall over. Basically, you fall over. You don't want to be running that unless you really have to, and you're maybe a sniper build or something really far back. In a team, it can work. But I like this build better. So what I've put on the chest, and what I think is one of the most underused things in this game, kinetic momentum. When in combat, each skill generates a stack while active or not on cooldown. 1%, 1% up to 15 stacks. Basically, it just means that if you've got two skills out, you will get two lots of 15%, which is 30%. It only works on skills that are constantly out. Hence why we've got the drone, and hence why we've got the mortar. If you had, say for example, the seeker mines, as soon as they explode and they're on cooldown, you lose the 15% buff. It's not particularly well, it is still good, but it's not maximized. You want two skills that's going to be out and not on cooldown. So these two are perfect, and the drone actually helps to distract a lot of the enemies I find in this game. It's really good. It's like a cheap version of a decoy as such that will actually do some damage. So like I said, you've got the vial mask as well, so you'll be having a lot of status buffs on this, and you'll be doing the tick damage over time after you've hit them. Now I believe once this is properly kitted out, you can be doing over 6 million damage easy on the enemies, because I'm missing quite a few bits, and like I said, it's not completely perfect, but I like it and I like what it does. So obviously you've got that, and that will give you extra damage to your actual weapon damage, and it will give you extra damage to your skill damage, and when you're hitting them with your skills and your weapons at the same time for 5 seconds, you'll get the 40-second buff. The vial mask. The vial mask basically puts the tick damage on them, and it says it's half of what your actual concussion grenade is at about 2 million, so you'll be doing 1 million damage to each person you hit in a tick damage. So basically it might say 70,000 a time over a certain amount of times, but it'll do 1 million to each of them. Like I said with this one, that's the kinetic momentum, so that's helping us a lot and giving us 30% extra damage, and that's the Wyvern wear. Over here you've got the Grupo Sombra, which basically is the Grupo stuff, and that is so that we can get the 15% explosive damage. So as you can see, I've got that on the knees and the holster, and if you have a little look here, skill damage and headshot damage. You would prefer it to have skill damage and status. Over here, skill damage and status again. Mine, like I said, is not min-maxed whatsoever. And then above that, what you've got here is the Golan gear. The Golan gear gives you a little bit of extra status effects, and again you would want status effects and skill damage. Don't worry about the haste. When it's down, it's down. You'll do some shooting, it's fine. You'll mainly want the skill damage. So skill damage, status effect. If you wanted some haste, pretty much put it in the slots. Just up here, status effects, skill haste and weapon handling. Rubbish. Again, what you want is status effects and skill haste and skill damage. If you can get that, you are completely mint. And like I said, I'm missing roughly, I believe, about 35% on the skill damage, and I'm still managing to hit really big numbers and then do the tick damage afterwards. If you can get this 100% perfect, you will be getting so much damage. It is unbelievable at the end of the missions. What you could do here, because basically you need this one to be the China Light Industries so that you get the 15% explosive damage. If you can, I believe you can get the named one, which I completely forget. I'm going to write it in the description there. And that gives you perfect shock and awe rather than shock and awe. And basically it gives you an extra 20% damage for 27 seconds rather than 20 seconds. But that is basically what you're after. So 2 Grupo, 1 Wyvern, the Vial Mask, then you've got the Harmony. Your secondary you can put on whatever you want. You're not going to use it too much. Same as your handgun, you'll never switch to it. I chuck on the Pestilence because I'm loving it at the moment. It's your choice. Over here you'd have the China Light and obviously the Golan gear. And that is a complete build. Down here I find best thing you can do is to have the striker drone and the artillery turret, basically the mortar, and then you'll be getting the bleed damage and you'll be getting the damage from the Vial Mask after you've hit them. It works really, really well. If you wanted to swap it out for something else, I would keep the mortar and swap out probably the drone for something else, anything else that is going to be at constant, and that will work just as well. But I think it works really, really well as a set, and hopefully you enjoy the build. If you do and you have a bit of luck farming some of the things better than me, then let me know how you get on and what kind of numbers you hit, because I'm actually quite intrigued to see what the highest damage you could do with this build is. But As always, I'm going to leave you with a little bit of footage now so you can see how it plays, and hopefully that'll inspire you to go out and try this build. As always, guys and girls, take care, and if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe for all things Xbox, all the latest and greatest gaming, hints, tips, guides and builds, and of course more Division content. Take care, and see you all next day.